Okay. All right. We are here again, and two Dutch coaches, two bald men, but two totally different levels of tactical brilliance. Eric Ten Hag, my friends, once again, absolutely mauled by a newcomer on his slot. This is only his third Premier League appearance. So already mauling Eric Ten Hag, who's been there for 3 seasons already. Let me try to invite some of these guys to come in, and we will continue our live. Yeah. Um, let's just bring some of the boys into the room, and we will just people are blaming Casemiro for his mistake. I may not necessarily put it in those exact terms. I will explain momentarily. But what I really think is for a newcomer on his slot to come in and win 3 straight games on the bounce, that is, I know, first of all, unprecedented in Liverpool's history. And he's also the first manager since Bob Paisley to win, you know, against Manchester United at, in his first game against Manchester United. So he's really doing something special. I think he is a special manager. That's why Liverpool brought him in. And he's doing something very special, and he deserves his flowers. He deserves the credit. So congratulations, Mr. Slot. You're doing amazingly well, and we surely hope you're able to maintain this level. I'm sure Liverpool fans would love you for it. And we should not go without also giving Mr. Klopp his flowers, because when you look at the Liverpool team, it appears that it's a team that was inherited. That's why Arne Slot didn't really have to bring in a lot of new names, because the team was already set, and that was done by Jurgen Klopp. He made the team. He set it in a way that any incoming manager wouldn't have a huge problem with it. In terms of quality, in terms of cohesion, in terms of chemistry. So Mr. Klopp also deserves a lot of credit for the way Liverpool have performed early this season. Now let's go to the game itself. Um, where do we start? Manchester United started the game. I don't think they were playing spectacularly well. I think you could see glimpses of lack of cohesion in their build up. You could see that they didn't have a target man. You could see that they had some holes in some of the places where they needed filling. For example, when you look at their midfield, there's a huge disconnect between Casemiro and Kobe Mainu, and that's obviously unacceptable. You're going to be punished in a game of this kind of magnitude if you cannot bring your players to, work in coordination. Um, a lot of people, including Sky Sports, including Gary Neville, including Roy Keane, many of them are criticizing, casting aspersions at Casemiro for some of the very elementary blunders he has committed today, leading to two goals on the bounce against Liverpool. Manchester United fans are not very happy with him at the moment. Um, I think I have a slightly different opinion. I will explain. Why I'm saying I have a slightly different opinion is this is, I think, it's a tactical failure rather than an individual failure, because the exact same sequence that saw Casemiro lose the ball and see Luis Diaz score his second goal repeated itself when Manu also lost the ball and who scored the third goal? I forgot the name. Yeah, scored the third goal. Yeah, the third goal happened. So when you really think about it, it's not really an issue of, oh, Salah scored the third goal. Yeah. So when you really think about it, it's not an issue of individual lack of performance or lack of ability. It's an issue of the structure of the team. And I've always said that a lot of people criticize Casemiro and say that Casemiro is a player of immense, or let's say great wealth of experience, and they expect higher levels of football from him. But I think that is very unfounded, because Casemiro playing for Real Madrid, Casemiro never was the main man in the midfield. He was the supplementary guy. He was what they call the piano carrier. He would break plays. That was his entire role at Real Madrid. We never needed Casemiro to be the guy to coordinate our passes. We never needed Casemiro to be the guy to carry the ball. We never needed Casemiro to do any form of shooting. We never needed him for any let's say extremely technical duties. All he needed to do was to tuck himself in between Cruz and Modric, in between, and then use that space to shield the defense by interceding passes, by blocking opponent attacks, by tackling very well. And because we were so packed in the middle, he had, when opponents had the ball, they only had only a few minutes on the ball, and Casemiro would come to intercept. So Casemiro didn't really need to do a lot of the different dynamics that playing the midfield entails. But what he did at the time, he was the absolute best at it. And in my opinion, in my personal opinion, he was the greatest of all time to do that. Breaking play. Now that's Casemiro. But at United, right? Casemiro is being made to do a lot of things that he previously hasn't been used to doing. They're asking Casemiro to break plays. They're asking Casemiro to do long passes. So Casemiro, just because he has a huge trophy cabinet and a great wealth of experience, he's being asked to be Modric, to be Cruz, and be Casemiro all in one at Manchester United. And that is why it is failing, because that is not Casemiro. Casemiro is the kind of player that you need two very talented players on his flanks. One on his left, one on his right. He stays in the middle. They close the gap. They close him in. He protects them. He gets the ball and he gives it to them. He's a very good tackler of the ball. So when you allow him those small spaces, those half spaces, that's Casemiro. He blocks those half spaces, and in that way destroying the tactical progression of the opponent. But at Manchester United, he's being asked to run after the ball, to carry the ball, to do long passes, to do short passes, to do the shooting, just because he's just player coming from a great pedigree. No, it doesn't work like that. For example, if you let's say you're very good in your work. Let's say you're an accountant, right? And what you do in your accounting firm is you're very good at calculating, but you never do the real accounting or auditing. You just calculate, right? And just because your accounting firm has done so well, you're transferred from your place and you're sent to a different department or a different place, and you're asked to, okay, because you come from such a great place, a place that's been very successful. Okay, now we expect you to audit, we expect you to account, we expect you to also do the math. Now that's something that you probably can do the math, but you can't do the rest very well because you've not done those things in your past experience. And that's exactly what's happening with Manchester United and Casemiro. A different dynamic to this argument is also that Manchester United, I said this at the beginning of last season when I saw Onana and the rest coming to the team. And I thought Manchester United needed a first phase builder. Now I said this to the boys in the groups, and many of them didn't take very kindly to my comments. But now I'm sure they will realize that I was absolutely spot on, because a first phase builder will help your team, especially when you have a ball playing goalkeeper like Manchester United have got in Onana. When you have a ball playing goalkeeper, that means that the ball playing goalkeeper can possess and keep the ball, help you to retain the ball. But when the goalkeeper retains the ball, the reason you need a ball playing goalkeeper is because you need to build from the back. That is the only reason any team needs a ball playing goalkeeper. Alongside the many other attributes of a top goalkeeper, you need to be able to coordinate your play from the back. Now, if you're going to coordinate your play from the back, that means that you need a player who can go to the goalkeeper and receive the ball from the goalkeeper after the goalkeeper has retained possession of the ball with his feet. You need one of your players who has in his arsenal to go to the goalkeeper and receive the ball and progress the ball to the rest of the team. Now, when you look at Barcelona, when they had Victor Valdes, they had Sergio Busquets who was doing that. When you look at, I mean, all those teams have that. I'll give you many examples. When you look at Spain, it was also Busquets. At Real Madrid, Real Madrid never really played from the back, typically. But when they've had to do that, they've had players like Alonso, who was good at it, right? Um, for for about a decade last season, for about a decade from around 2015 to about last year, that has been Tony Cruz. He goes to the goalkeeper and he gets the ball. Now that skill is such an underrated skill, to be able to get the goalkeeper and fend off opponent tackling. That is a very underrated skill. But you need a top technical magician. Well, maybe not necessarily a magician, but somebody who is very brilliant on the ball and can almost never be dispossessed. And that will be your Tony Cruz, that will be your Thiago Alcantara, that will be your, Jorginho, that will be your Rodri. So all the top teams who play from the back, they have this kind of player, right? Manchester United have a goalkeeper, a ball playing goalkeeper. Well, also they say, but they don't have this profile of a player. And this is a huge problem because even though you have a goalkeeper who can pass the ball, they're going to pass the ball to the wrong kind of players. In this case, it being Casemiro. Because Casemiro, in his entire football career, has never been the player to receive the ball from the back. He's never been that. Casemiro has always been the guy who is there to destroy the play. So Manchester United, what they should have done is you have your Casemiro, you have your Bruno Fernandes over here. You need one more who will come and receive the ball. Now I know a lot of people will say, okay, we have Kobe Mainu. Maybe you're right, but it seems to me Kobe Mainu is not typically that kind of a player. It appears to me he's more of an offensive player than let's say a central midfield player. He's more like let's say your Iniesta, that kind of role. That's that when you look at his attributes, they suit more this kind of remit rather than a player who comes to receive the ball. He's very good offensively. Um, and also looking at his age, he's still a player in let's say progression is still developing. You can't ask a 19-year-old to manage such a huge role because this role is one of the most important roles and it's also one of the most difficult because you will have teams who press really hard like Real Madrid would play Liverpool and you would see that Tony Cruz would have the ball but he would receive such a fierce opposition tackles from the Liverpool players who then pressed really hard under Jurgen Klopp, if you would remember. But you need a player who would be, impregnable, regardless how much they are tackled or pressed. The player so good that they don't lose the ball. They're very difficult to dispossess. Don't you see that those kind of players, you know, and Kobe Mainu probably will become that kind of player in the future if he keeps practicing in that role. But at this point in time, as I speak, he's not that profile of a player. So asking a 19-year-old to play in that kind of role is kind of self-defeating. And evidently you could see it in the build-up of Manchester United that there is this lack. Another thing a lot of people criticizing Casemiro about, which is the mistakes he obviously made. Now, I find it extremely concerning that a singular mistake, which was made far away from the goalpost, actually leads to a goal, and obviously everyone is blaming the guy who made a mistake. Now, I wouldn't blame the fellow who made a mistake, because there were many different, let's say, um, if you would like, scenes to it before the goal. When Casemiro passed the ball to Gravenberg, when he was supposedly passing to Mainu. Now, I'm not saying he should have made that mistake. It's a ball that, with his experience, he was not supposed to pass. But again, Casemiro has never been the kind of player playing those kind of passes. He's always had Modric or Cruz right next to him, like literally right next to him. So he gets the ball, and the next player takes the ball away from him. He never passes. Those he never used to pass those long kind of balls. That wasn't necessarily a long ball, but it was let's say a bit you know technical, and it was not well placed. Gravenberch got the ball. Gravenberch started to press with the ball, coming at Manchester United with the ball. Now, first of all, you could see a huge number of Liverpool attackers against only two, which were the two centre backs. Now that is an error in tactical arrangement, because um, last season Manchester United had a torrid time again in their defense. They brought in a lot of players, but you can still see they're conceding a lot of goals. The coach may make a lot of excuses, but I feel the problem is the tactical arrangement of the defense, the way the defense is arranged, and also because they don't have a first phase builder. If you have a first phase builder, they take the ball, they help you to. So if, let's say, the ball Casemiro had was with a player like let's say Ericsson. Ericsson's not necessarily a first phase builder, but he's the closest to it at United now, right? A player like Ericsson would have gotten the ball and would have had the patience to actually scan and find a good pass. But Casemiro, he's not that kind of player. So, it's like putting square pegs in round holes and blaming the square pegs for not fitting the round hole. It's not really it's not really the square peg's fault. It's the one who is placing the square peg in the round hole's fault. And in this case, that would be the coach, the manager, Eric Ten Hag once again. Right? So that's what I think. I think the defensive arrangement is not right. I feel they don't necessarily have the kind of players they need to play the kind of football they appear to want to play. Because obviously, if you want to build from the back, you need a first phase builder, which they don't have. So all I can say is I'm not surprised at the result. I think most people anticipated Manchester United losing against Liverpool, especially looking at how flawless Arne Slot has been since he's been at Liverpool. But obviously, we would have expected a less humiliating performance from Manchester United. But it's so embarrassing to see a team of Manchester United's pedigree be so, you know thrashed in their own backyard, we would have expected at least a bit of a fight. But maybe United fans would still count themselves lucky because there was a time it was seven. There were seven goals, but today there were only three goals. So maybe that's a plus. I don't know. I don't know, but definitely more room for improvement. I still feel that if Manchester United are gonna make any progress, Mr. Ten Hag needs to leave the team. I think so. Especially looking at their attacking options. I don't really see how they're gonna be able to um contest at the levels expected of Manchester United. Looking at the kind of attacking options they have. They have Zirkzee, who has very little experience at high level football. When they have Garnacho, who is still a teenager, or probably only 20 years old at most. They have Rashford, who has fallen out of love, apparently falling out of love with Mr. Ten Hag's football plans or football arrangement, tactical arrangement, or probably fallen out of love with football as a whole. Nobody knows. Um, Now they have who else? Hoyland, who is who is probably the only bright spot. The silver lining they have, but he is mostly unavailable. He's always injured. Let's say he's quite injury prone. So how are Manchester United exactly going to be able to compete with the likes of Brighton, or not even Brighton, no, uh, compete with the likes of Man City, Arsenal, who have Saka, Martinelli, Havertz, Jesus, and now they've added Sterling. You see, if the best talents are at United at this point in time are these guys, I really don't see the point of allowing Anthony Martial and um and Sancho to leave, because clearly with these players, I'm not saying they're bad players, but obviously they're a future investment, aren't they? Garnacho, you don't expect Garnacho to give you 20 goals a season. He's just a kid. He's still learning. So it's unnecessary pressure on these kids, and it's unfair. It's- You need you need a good blend of experienced, mature players and upcoming amateur players. For example, Liverpool, as you can see, Liverpool, they have Salah, well, Allison, Van Dijk, right? You can see these are the more experienced players who have won almost everything in football, club level. Then they also have players like Diaz, who are a blend. They are not necessarily the most experienced players, but they've played enough to know a lot, right? And then they have players like Elliot, who are you know youngsters, like Bradley, youngsters, like Kwanzaa, youngsters. So it's a good blend of everything. But Manchester United, it looks like it's mostly about the youngsters rather than the more experienced players. But you can build a team like Ajax like that, and you would get away with it. But at Manchester United in the Premier League, it's almost not feasible. So I think United really made a mistake not going into the market to get a new forward, because you definitely need a sharp shooter upstairs. When I talk upstairs, I'm talking about up front. Like Xerxes should not be starting Manchester United matches. He should be coming off the bench or should be replacing someone to learn off a bigger name. So he could probably replace them in 2, 3 years' time. But you're asking this young boy to come play in such a big, huge magnitude of a game, and you expect him to produce some numbers or produce some magic against defenders as experienced as Van Dijk. You see, it's never going to happen. So there's been a huge recruitment fail. There's been players who have been bought for the wrong reasons, the improperly um, purchased players. For example, Mason Mount. Um, Now there's been players who are too young to play for Manchester United, or players who should be still learning under someone who are now the main guys at Manchester United, like Garnacho. And then Rashford is supposed to be the talisman, the guy that everybody comes to, but it appears that there's something off about him. Nobody knows exactly what is happening. He's probably having some mental health crisis. I'm not sure. I'm just speculating here. So it's really difficult to ascertain where the threat of Manchester United, especially going forward, is going to come from. You see, um, and I know with the new ownership, the new owners of Manchester United, maybe things will change as time goes on. But at this particular point in time, I feel like it's the the consequence of very bad investments made in the last couple of years, which includes some of the bad decisions that Mr. Ten Hag, the coach, has made since he had the absolute autonomy in the market. For 2 years, and he bought some players who shouldn't have never worn a Manchester United jersey. So that's what I'm saying. You see, a lot of people are culpable for what's going on now, and I think the biggest of them all is the manager, Mr. Ten Hag. Now, let me know what you think in the comment section. Um, I'm just here letting you know what I feel about the game, what I saw in the game, looking at what has happened at Manchester United. I feel like I feel that they need a paradigm shift. You see, a paradigm, something really huge needs to change to see even a little change, because obviously this is very similar to what we saw last season, conceding a lot of goals, conceding a lot of shots, not being dangerous up front. You see, no clear patterns of play, no identity in play. They are the same old stories being repeated, and I really find it difficult to fathom who was behind the decision to maintain a manager, because obviously a lot of things had gone wrong, which were single-handedly his fault. And I'm not saying nobody. I'm not saying nobody should be given a second chance. I'm not saying it shouldn't have been given a second chance. But I feel like if United fans or Manchester United as a club are going to be able to get any closer to their ultimate goals, or get any closer to where they used to be in the past, then definitely this manager would not probably be the answer. Yeah. Anyway, let me know what you think. I think it was a shit show against Liverpool once again. Not that we didn't expect it, but it's just that um, our worries have been um, confirmed once again, that United are not in a good place at all. Now, next game is against Southampton, and I'm expecting um, fireworks. I know he likes to bounce back, and Southampton are definitely the right prey to bounce back on. At least reinvigorate yourself with some confidence and probably get back into the season stronger. Now let me know what you think in the comment section. If you think Asmira was not at fault, if you think Ten Hag should be kept, whatever. If you think what I'm saying is far from the reality, let me know and I'll respond to your suggestions in the comment section. Yeah, let's have a chat, my friends. Now I'll say bye bye now. Bye bye now.